Taylor.
And I'm Amber.
And this is
Waking Up the Witch. We're your neighborhood witches. Each week, we talk about all things witchy and connect with other humans in a storytelling format about navigating life on this floating rock.
We're two curious ladies trying to understand the human experience. But while we do that, we think it's important to honor the people that lived here before us and honor the cultures and traditions that we're being inspired by.
This podcast is about waking up the witch, which means we are learning and growing every day. That being said, we are always open to feedback on how we can do better.
The views and opinions of our guests don't necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Waking Up the Witch. Now, let's go, ghouls. Hey, Amber.
Hi, Taylor.
What's happening?
Hey, welcome back.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, here we are.
Hey.
It's been almost almost 4 whole months since you and I have sat by each other with the mics on.
Yeah.
How's it going? What'd you do? What you been up to?
Life is quite a bit different now. Well, first of all, I can have a cocktail. So
let's say cheers.
I stayed pregnant for a whole month and 10 days after that.
Yeah, so crazy.
But she's here and she's
here.
Magic.
She's perfect.
She's so cool.
We almost had her on the podcast today.
Next time.
But we decided we were overdue on a podcast beverage.
Yeah.
I just got emotional. Well, so I was never really like super open about this on the podcast so much until your predictive pregnancy date for me. We kind of slid it in there and like little sprinkles through your pregnancy time. But yeah, my husband and I have been trying to get pregnant for 4 years, and my whole adult life, I never wanted to have a child. I'm the oldest of 7 kids, divorced family. So there's a lot of things I didn't think that I wanted that I was like, nope, I'm good on that. And then I turned 35 and started experiencing those uterine throbs when I saw a baby that people would talk about. That I was like, uh-oh. Mm-hmm. And kind of had to sit with myself. And I luckily had just started therapy around the same time. And so maybe that's also part of it, is just doing a lot of inner child healing and figuring out a lot about myself and not being so afraid to confront those things in myself for the first time ever. And so, yeah, I talked to my husband, who we both had agreed. We'd been married already several years and agreed that we weren't going to have kids and we were fine without it. And if we got pregnant, then we'd do it. But that was kind of where we settled. And so, yeah, it's been a long journey. And for me, mostly, there's only like a couple of months where I was like heartbroken that I started my period after that. And I don't know, I'm a pretty... the way my brain has always worked is I can always flip it. And like, it might be part trying to like just stabilize trauma. It's like, that's definitely probably part of it. But also like, I think I'm a Libra. And so I also feel like that's part of just kind of how my energy works and being able to like balance the scales and seeing both sides. And I am a very spiritual person, and I truly trust and believe like, and can look back on my past at every opportunity and moment and thing where the universe has held me and brought me to exactly where I'm supposed to be. And even the hard things have like paid out or paid off, you know? Mm-hmm. So mostly like truly, honestly, and I know this isn't the case for most people on this journey, like everything that has come up in my life since trying to have a baby, like so much huge transformation has happened that I feel blessed that we haven't had a baby yet. And that sounds kind of crazy, and I'm sorry if that's triggering to anybody. That's definitely not what I want to do, but it's just how my brain works. And like, I can look at this whole past 4 years and like, I moved to Oregon. If I had had a baby when I first decided I was ready to have a baby, I don't know that I would have moved out here. Like, my husband has started a really deep healing journey and, you know, has chosen to be sober and like just all these like huge healing things for him too. And then like opening my business, having a physical space where I get to like hold this magic and do all these things. There's so many evidential pieces in my life that's like, if I had a baby yet, I don't know that any of this would have happened the way that it did. And these things really, really, really needed to happen first. And having that time in the journey to of trying to conceive really has brought me and Mark, my husband, like so much closer and like has helped us really build a very strong foundation and relationship. And like, we'll have a baby and it's going to happen in the way that it's supposed to. And I really do believe that. I also like read this book called Spirit Babies that is very helpful for anyone who is spiritually minded, maybe even if you're not, who is kind of on this journey too. Like, that really helped me connect more into like, it's not about us, it's not about our timeline, it really is the soul, the spirit of the baby. Like, these glimmers of us desiring this have come through because they're dropping into our energy and they're watching and like cheering us on as we create a better life for all of us. So it's just really cool too, because there's so many stories like from people and their journeys, which is helpful when you are going through your own journey of trying to bring life into the world. It kind of gives you some peace of like, you're not alone, but then it gives you this open idea of how the spirit chooses you and chooses to make its way to be with you. So, you know, and babies come into the world in lots of like the same ways, but like they come into your life in many different ways. So however we're supposed to build our family, it'll happen, whether I birth a baby into the world or not. And like, we're just very open to whatever that process is. So that's kind of like the long and short of the backstory. And Taylar had found through a friend a local acupuncturist here in Southern Oregon. Her name's Tara Anderson, and her business is Fertile Spring. If you are local and looking for hormonal support or fertility support, I could not recommend her enough. Like, she's
the best.
She's already changed my life so fucking much. It's really mind-blowing. I'm like, I don't even know what my cycle is like anymore. Because I'm like rediscovering my cycle. That's the other thing too with this whole journey is like, I was so afraid of the potential of my womb and the potential of my pussy and all these things. And like, along the whole journey, I've been healing that in myself. Like, I have to do that in order to have life here, you know, to be able to, I don't know, there's just so many magical things about it. But anyways, so Tara is just so fucking incredible. You know, Taylar was like, you got to go see her. You got to go see her. Like, she's had a lot of success helping families make babies. So I first went to her and I was really nervous and emotional and just kind of shared like, this has been our journey and this is what my period has been like. And my period it's regular in the sense that it shows up pretty much every 28 days, but it's really heavy. And I have lots of spotting before and after and in the middle of my cycle, and really bad cramping, very emotional, very low energy, sore boobs, like the whole thing, like every extreme version of a cycle I've experienced, like 8-day long periods. And I saw her November 1st. That was the first day I went to her. I started my period just a few days later. And that period was completely different than any period I'd ever experienced in my entire life. Like, my heavy day of that period was like maybe a medium day of what I was used to. It was only 4 days long. As soon as I got cramps come on, I took my Chinese herbal tincture that she had given me, and within an hour, the cramps were gone, like completely unmedicated, and like was able to actually do stuff. And that blew my mind. I was like, okay, if nothing else, I'm leaving this experience with a healthy, quote unquote, quote, normal period. So, and after that too, I'm like, whatever she tells me to do, like I fully trust her already. Like I had one appointment and my whole life has changed from that experience. So since then it's been quite a journey, and every period is a little bit better than the last, or there's lots of shifts and changes. And ultimately, like everything that she does through Chinese herbal medicine and acupuncture, it's just removing the stagnation and the blocks in the body and the meridian system, and it's all just completely changed. How you boobs?
They start to like burn and tingle, and I think that's when they're like, okay, we want to like have a letdown now.
Do you need to go squeeze some?
No, I thought about bringing the pump, but I was like, I'm not going to be there that long.
You should have brought the pump. You just sit here on the mic pumping your boobs. You should totally do that.
Yeah, but also like I don't need to be pumping every 2 hours, because then it makes me make more milk.
That's true.
And so the longer I could go, the better, because I'm just like make so much milk. It's crazy.
And
I'm really grateful, but it's like so much.
Do you want that all left in there for Rachel to cut it? Yeah, I think it should be left in too.
We're talking about fertility.
We're talking about babies and what our bodies do. Well, let me know if you need a squeeze break at all.
They're still squishy when they get like
painful.
I fed her before I left.
That's good. Side note, we were at Witchy Night the other night, and Taylor's boobs were so full and painful. And she's like, I just went to the bathroom to squeeze some out.
I was like, you want to watch?
Yeah. And I said, yeah. Of course I want to watch what our bodies can do. It's so cool.
Should have squeezed it into a wine glass and took it home.
Totally.
Yeah.
Next time.
Anyways.
So yeah, lots of different herbs and acupuncture each week. And then I had to go through this really painful procedure called an HSG ultrasound. And for me, like, it was definitely like mildly traumatizing, and that's okay. Like, it's part of it, but it's also healing too in a big way, because, it's just that disconnect that I've experienced with my pussy and my womb. And so like, it was an opportunity just to heal like another layer of that. And so they basically, like, I'm in an x-ray room, and the x-ray table has stirrups, and I had to like get into like a gown. And they had like a doggy pee pad basically like on the table. And it was the first time I ever had a male doctor like doing anything down there, which I've always been very like adamant about, but he was so good, and that was really healing for me too.
Sometimes around here you don't get to choose.
Yeah, and I wasn't gonna be like
the shitty doctor. For me was the female. So
yeah, totally. I feel like the only thing that like was kind of like I think I was just in a mood and like having to go through this thing, and I was really freaking out about it. And so he was like,
Mark had to give you an enema.
Yes, that whole morning was just crazy. Had to have an enema. My husband, like, obviously he's probably seen my butthole unintentionally, but like had to like ass in the air on the ground in the bathroom, and him insert. He was so gentle and sweet about it, and like didn't make me feel weird or uncomfortable or make jokes, which if you know him, he will make all the jokes. Like, he just really wanted to make sure that I was comfortable, because he knew that I was just freaked out about all of this stuff. He was so sweet and kind, and he went with me to the procedure. They wouldn't let him go back in the room, but he was there with me, took the whole morning off to like spend time with me, and got a hair. And just make sure that I felt cared for. Like, he doesn't have to go through all these things, but it is our journey, and he keeps reminding me that like it's ours. Like, he even had to do a sperm test, and his sperm is perfect. And I was like, well, that makes me feel good that it's only one of us that has to like do some things to create a hospitable environment to create a baby. And he's like, well, it's still not you. Like, it's our journey. And I just thought that was so sweet, because even though he doesn't have to change anything about himself or go through any of these uncomfortable procedures, like he still takes responsibility somehow for it, which is sweet. And yeah, I love him. He's so great. So anyways, I have to lay down on the x-ray table, and then there's like this huge catheter, which is like a medical grade plastic tube that he has to insert past my cervix. So I'm basically like in position for a pelvic exam and spread open, and he has to like clean my cervix, and then he puts the tube past the cervix. And then there's I'm already blocking out some of this. I'm realizing that it's like kind of has this hook at the end, like outside of myself, where then they insert this fluid that fills up my uterus. And then as they're filling it up,
is it iodine?
I think it's like an iodine type mixture. And so, oh yeah, that was the thing I was going to say. He's like explaining the procedure to me before, and he's like, you'll start to feel some cramping, very similar to a menstrual cramp. And in my head, I was like, oh yeah, like, what that's like, like, and I mean, he's studied things. Of course, he doesn't know the exact feeling of it, but like he's just trying to explain to me what I'm going to feel. And I just had this like sassy moment, like, oh yeah, man, like, but no, he was great. And so yeah, like near my cervix, there's kind of this balloon that gets popped out to hold the catheter in place, and so that none of the liquid can fall out and everything stays inside the uterus. And this procedure is basically to examine and see if my fallopian tubes are open or closed, to see if I can even conceive at all. And so as he's doing it, it starts to build pressure, and like they're taking pictures, taking x-rays, and I can see the x-ray, like the visual next to me, which was kind of cool. And all of a sudden you hear this pop, and all the liquid starts disappearing on the camera, and it's going everywhere. And he's like, well, the balloon just popped and we weren't able to see your tubes, which I would say that your tubes are blocked or closed. But I have had success opening tubes through this procedure again. If you're up for it, I would like to try again. And I was like, I'm already here. Like, I've already paid for this procedure. Like, let's do what we came here to do. And he's like, it's going to hurt a lot more. There's going to be a lot more pressure, like a lot. And I was like, okay, we're here. And it was really great because there was, the nurse was in there, and she was so sweet and like rubbing my shoulder, and she gave me her hand to like squeeze, and was, while also taking the photos, taking the x-ray, and just was so kind. And there was another woman there who was about to graduate, and she had never seen the procedure before, so she was there just to kind of witness. And they both were just so kind and compassionate for me in that situation. They could see that I was really scared. And so I had to get cleaned up, change the gown. They cleaned up and reset. And like, it was a few minutes. He left and then came back, and then again had to go through that whole procedure again, clean the cervix, insert the catheter. And then he put it like at the farthest point of my uterus at the top, and then so that it would be closer to where the tubes are, and then started to put this fluid in again. And then the pressure really started to build, and he was like, okay, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Like, it's okay. You're doing so great. And they're all just talking me through it. And then it was like so painful. I like couldn't even catch my breath because I was just like, ow, 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 like couldn't even breathe. Yeah, it fucking hurt so bad. And it felt like an eternity. And he was like, I think he said like 15 more seconds or something like that. And that really helped me to know like we're almost done. And he successfully unblocked my tubes. So that was really great. And then they were able to like get the pictures. Like, you should really start to feel some of the pressure lessen. And I just like couldn't even respond because I was still in a lot of pain. Like, yeah, it was lessening, but it still was like extreme pain. And he's like, is it lessening for you? I was like, yeah, but no, like it is, but it still fucking sucks. And so then I had to like roll from side to side so that they can like let the liquid fill and go towards the ovaries. And
creepy.
yeah, and they took all the pictures and he said, okay, you did it. It's so, like, you did great. We got him open, and I gave him a high five, and I was just like, thank you. And then like he left, and they were like, do you want some juice? And I was like, yeah, I think that would be really great. I'd love some juice. Just like instantly like this big baby. It's like, I'm sorry, it's over. I made it. Like, that's how I felt, because I was so scared and so nervous, and you just don't know. Like, sometimes the people who do it, like, you don't feel anything, and they told me that, and like, you just don't know, like, it's unique for you. And it felt very extreme to me, my experience. And yeah, I was just so worn out.
Did you ever find out what was blocking your tubes?
No, he said that they were closed, but I was like, if they're closed, how do you like open them? That's kind of crazy. And they didn't share the like imaging with me. So I don't know like what the images look like, and neither does Tara. It's just like a written explanation of the discovery. So he had mentioned too that there were some like parts of my uterus that didn't fully fill in, which makes him to believe that there could be potentially fibroids or polyps, but he couldn't really specify or be certain of what they are, and recommended another type of an ultrasound. So I need to schedule that. But
if you did get pregnant, would the fibroids in your uterus affect
the
depends. Pregnancy?
So Tara explained a lot of things to me, which was really nice. And like, fibroids don't necessarily mean that you can't get pregnant. It really depends on the size and location of them. And basically the biggest threat is that it blocks implantation in the uterus. As far as like the pregnancy, it doesn't really affect it that I know of, or that she explained. Like, that's really where they become a problem, is to actually implant the egg. So it doesn't mean that I can't get pregnant if I do have them, and the other ultrasound will really be the only way to see like exactly what they are and like the size and location of them. So we'll know more then, if I'm not pregnant right now, which is still just so confusing, and I'm probably not, but I don't know. It's like such a weird journey.
I said that on air too.
Yeah, it's true. It's so true. It's like so crazy. And after that procedure, it basically like really flushes out the entire system. So they say like you're more likely to get pregnant after that. And so we definitely did our end of the homework. And I don't know. So today would be day 33 of my cycle. I took a pregnancy test yesterday. It was negative though. I've had mild spotting, like not even enough to fill or like to show up on a panty liner. It's just when I wipe. So I don't know. I'm going to acupuncture tomorrow, and I'll either start my period between now and then or not. And if I do get my period, then probably next week sometime I'll do that ultrasound, and we'll keep doing our research. But either way, like Tara told me to, like my tubes are open. And so that's good news. And all the work that we're doing, like even if it is polyps, even if it is fibroids, it's just a sign of stagnation, which is something that we've been working to clear anyways. And sometimes the herbs can clear it on its own. It'll like, because we're just cleaning it out anyway. So that could help if they're not too large. If they are too large, then I'll need to get them removed, which is like a surgery basically. And she told me, she's like, every single client that I've worked with that has had to get fibroids removed was pregnant in their next cycle. So it like everything she's saying to me is just very hopeful. Like my tubes are open, and all the work that we're doing together is going to help ensure like that stays open. If I have fibroids and stuff, that's probably the material that was causing blockages in my tubes, is kind of how I see it. Like it's just uterine lining that's, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at in my journey to creating a baby. And I know that was kind of long, but that's, I haven't really talked about it much on here. And I have lots of friends who have gotten pregnant along my journey of trying to get pregnant, and some people are like every single friend is like, come to me like really careful and not wanting me to like get upset or feel bad, but wanting to share their news with me. And every single friend I'm so ecstatic for. Like I genuinely am so excited. And it's weird, like it's people that I don't know that have like made me be like, when's it my turn? And that only happened when I was working in an office, and literally 3 women back to back to back, all in my same office of like 10 people were pregnant. And I was like, and that was after a year of me trying to get pregnant. And that's really when it started to kind of feel bad for a little bit. But yeah, I don't even know like what helped me kind of pull myself out of that. But I did. And like, I don't know, like I still have plenty of fertile years, even though I'm 38. Like, fuck what they tell you. If you are my age, you can still get pregnant. But it is a journey. It's my journey, and it's perfect exactly the way that it is. Like, I'm so grateful. I really, really am so grateful for it.
I know it'll happen.
It will.
I
totally will. And it'll be exactly when it's supposed to. Like, maybe I just have some more stuff to learn right now.
Maybe you'll have a more pleasant pregnancy.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on to pleasant, not pleasant pregnancies.
Well,
let's hear about you.
I wanted to record this sooner so that it was more fresh in my mind. But I have a newborn, so, and I really like her, and I don't like to be away from her so much. And I've just really been enjoying my time with her. And Curtis, he got to take 12 weeks off too. So it's just been like the most beautiful, wonderful, special time ever.
He's such a good dad.
Yeah, it's tight.
It's so awesome.
I was thinking on the way here, like the way that he approaches parenting and how he doesn't ever get like overwhelmed or stressed, like gives me more confidence too. And I just feel like he makes me a better parent because he's so good at it. Like I can look to him because he never gets overwhelmed. He never gets frustrated. He's just so patient, and she shits and he's like, cute. We'll start from the beginning. But so my last day at work, it's crazy, it was a long time ago, it was October 20th. And then my mom came, like, which is so weird to think about. My mom came a couple days later. And then my due date was November 5th, I think. And so we're like waiting, and I was just so uncomfortable. I hated the entire pregnancy. Like, I liked having a little belly. It was the first time I felt like I could look at my naked body and feel like beautiful because I was like creating with it. And it's crazy because now having my postpartum body, like, you think you're gonna hate how different it is, but I'm like, I don't know, I made a beautiful baby. Like, I don't care. I don't
love
care
that for
at
you.
all.
So healing.
It really is. Especially somebody that's like had eating disorders and body dysmorphia and all of the things that a lot of women deal with. So I just stayed pregnant forever and ever. So like my birthday came and went, and I had convinced myself I was gonna have the baby the day after my birthday or the day before. That didn't happen. And then like I just would cry every day. I cried a lot on my birthday because I felt like nobody liked me, which I think I do that like every year. I was like crying in the middle of the night, and Kurt woke up and was like, are you okay? Like, and then I found out my best friend was pregnant on my birthday. She's also been trying for 4 years and 3 or 4 years, and got pregnant seeing Tara.
Yes.
And she was like, do you want me to give you something to cry about? I'm like, yeah. He's pregnant. So yeah, stayed pregnant, and then just like every day felt like a million days. And I couldn't even sit on my couch. Like everybody's like, are you walking? Are you having sex? Are you drinking the tea? Are you doing the thing? And I'm like, yep, I'm doing all of it. And it all feels fucking stupid. And like, none of it's going to work. I can only sleep on my left side because the baby was stuck on my right side. And we wanted her to move so that she was not posterior, which didn't work. So come Wednesday, November 16th, so she checked me the week before, like after my due date. I wasn't dilated at all. So we were going to like do a membrane sweep, which is where they like sweep your membranes that are like attached to the cervix and like loosen that up. And sometimes that helps start, but my cervix was closed, so we couldn't do that. Gosh. And so that just made me like big sad because I was just like, she's never gonna come out. And then a week later, my midwife came over. She gave me some herbs. She gave me cottonwood bark, I think, or root. I don't remember. And then this tincture called like labor ease. That's wrong too. She gave me these herbs and she was like, okay, I want you to pump, which is the weirdest fucking feeling in the world if you've like never had a baby latch or pumped or anything. It's super, I hated it. So she was like, I want you to pump for, take this tincture, pump for 20 minutes. And then at the end of the 20 minutes, take the tincture again, do that for an hour, and then take this other tincture at the end of the hour, and then do all of that for 3 hours. Jeez. And that should help. And I'm like, okay, so I'm like, I'll do anything at this point. I am having sex. I'm curb walking. I'm doing fucking upsy downsies, whatever, the walks, everything. And so I did that, and then that night I had my bloody show, which is like the beginning of your plug. God, I really blocked all of this out.
Is that just like explain what you understand for those
your
who
mucus
don't
plug
know.
Is like what kind of helps hold the baby in your cervix, and then when it falls out is when you like start to, your cervix kind of starts to open.
Can I ask you what that looks like?
Mine never came out like like a lot of it's like boogery, snotty, like mucusy. Mine never really did that. Mine just was bloody, like a spotty period. And so that happened that night, and I was like cramping throughout the night, but I was able to sleep. It wasn't anything too bad, more than like period cramps. And then throughout the whole next day, I was starting to have contractions, and they still weren't that bad. And we ran some errands and went to Costco and had a hot dog and did some more stuff. And then by the evening, they were getting closer together. And as someone that's never had a baby, I was like, I don't know if like I need to call my doula. I don't know how fast this happens. Yeah. Like, I don't know anything. She lives an hour away. I feel like I don't know. So I called her. She came over Thursday night at like 8:00 at night. We set up like the whole living room with the light, like the twinkle lights and the birth tub. And I had a camp bed out there and was like laboring in the living room. And I was feeling like the contractions were pretty regular. And then in the middle of the night, they got more painful to where I was like groaning. And because in the whole beginning, I kept telling Kurt, I'm like, this isn't so bad. Like, people are just sissies. No, that was stupid. That was just the beginning. And then so like throughout the night, I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, I don't know. And so I texted Misha, and she came over at like 6 a.m. Misha's my midwife, and checked me. And nothing. I was like not dilated.
Still not dilated and having these crazy painful contractions. That's crazy. Do you know if that's like kind of common at all? You would think that the because the contractions are basically dilating you, right? That's kind of the purpose of them.
Yeah.
So that would be wild to be laboring for so long and have nothing.
Like, what is this feeling?
Yeah.
I guess for first-time moms, it can be a thing. Your body's never done that before, so it doesn't know what to do, and so it takes longer, and sometimes it just doesn't happen. And so I was just feeling super fucking angry and sad, and like I was in a lot of pain, and so kept going, laboring through the day. I have no idea what time I called you. 1 o'clock?
No, I think that's about when I headed over, because I had like a few days before you went into labor. So I was like, I'm not taking clients. I don't know when I'm gonna need to be there. This is her due date. So I just really made myself super available. And then I had pushed out my calendar till like the week before Thanksgiving, thinking like baby will definitely be here by then. And because it was like almost right at 42 weeks, right? Or 43 weeks almost. And then I randomly got 2 clients that week. And so you and I had gone to the mall to go get her a new outfit, and then like got lunch, and, you know, just like, let's just go be normal and walk this baby out. And I was like, I got 2 clients this week. Like, I don't know. And you're like, just take them. I was like, okay. Like, and if it happens, well, you know, in enough time, I can give them a heads up. And I let both of them know, like, here's the situation. I may need to reschedule last minute. And you text me like 3 or 4 minutes before my client was walking in the door, and you're like, okay, I think I'm ready for Reiki now. And I was like, okay, I'll see you in 2 hours. I'm so sorry. You're like, okay.
Yeah, I had my vibey playlist. I had the lights. I had everything I wanted. It was really beautiful. The playlist runs out. The sun comes up. I'm still in labor. I'm in pain, and I'm like, I gotta do something else. I've taken fucking at least 3 hot showers, because it was the only thing that helped was like the hot water in the shower. I've been in and out of the pool, which did help a little bit, but so then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch Titanic, because that's what Allison watched in labor, and I was like, sure, why not?
And it's a long ass movie.
Yep. I watched all Titanic, on the ground, on the ball, all of that. And then that was over. And I'm like, just every contraction, Curtis had like a heating pad that he would push on my back. And if he didn't, it was like really painful. So I was definitely having like back labor. And throughout the whole day, I'm like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this anymore. I didn't sleep all night. I hadn't eaten. Like, I tried to eat, but it was just like, I don't know. I couldn't. So then, I'm just like texting you. I'm texting Allison, like, I can't do it. I need to go to the hospital. And I try to tell Kurt, and he's like, no. He's like, you told me to tell you no. You told me you didn't want that. You can do it. And then Kelsey, my doula, was like, that's not the experience you want. You're not going to like being at the hospital. We got this, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and even if you go, it's not going to, like, you could still be laboring like this.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I want the fucking epidural. Because I want to take a nap.
Yeah.
So, I text Misha at like 3 or 4 and was like, I can't do it. And she was like, or I don't know what time I texted her. She was like, I'll be there at 4, I think.
Yeah. She
came over. You came over. You did Reiki. I thought you were there for an hour. Apparently you were there for 6.
I showed up like 1:30, I think, and I was with you through the hospital. Yeah. I got home at like 10:30.
Yeah, no, I thought you were there for like an hour.
I did disappear for a while to like give you some space, like with Kurt, and so I was like in and out of your experience.
He was amazing. He supported me the entire time, was very hands-on, never left my side. I mean, he like napped a couple times barely, just always keeping pressure. He would get in the shower with me, in the tub with me. It was just really bonding, really beautiful. I feel like I could cry. It was really beautiful. And I wish that I could have, had the baby there and like him catch the baby and stuff, but I couldn't do it anymore. I was in so much pain and I was so tired, and so I went out there and I told into the living room and I told Misha, like, I can't do it, I want to go to the hospital. And she was like, well, do you want me to check you and like see how far you're dilated? And I was like, no, I want to go like now.
You were done. Like,
I don't care.
One's talking me out of this anymore. Even Kelsey, like, she had come up to me. She's like, did you guys ever, like, talk about, like, did she want to be talked out of this? Like, checking in with me, like, as your friend. Did we ever have that conversation? I was like, that was never, like, even thought about. It was like, this is what she's doing, is the home birth. And so I could even see her kind of like jostling, like, how do I support you in this? Like, and you came out and it was like, nope, this is what I'm doing. Like, you were crying. You're like, I can't do it anymore. I just can't. I'm done.
Yeah. So I get to the hospital. The doctor's a huge fucking cunt. Bitch. So I get in there. And they like, I'm having contractions. They rush me over to labor and delivery. She's like, I'll be your doctor. And she's like, oh, so you tried to have a baby at home, and just like being a bitch. And she's asking me questions and I'm like in pain. I can't really answer you.
No.
And I don't know anything. And then Misha shows up and she's like, the doctor's like, do you have any questions for me? And I was like, no, but like, if you have any questions, this is my midwife, you can ask her. And she goes, I'm your doctor now, do you have any questions for me? And I was like, no.
Wow.
And she walked out and I looked at the
why
nurses.
are you delivering babies if that's how you're going to treat the person who's in, like, literally, like, you are in a crisis?
Yeah.
They wouldn't let Kelsey go back there because, like, your mom, me, and Kelsey all went over together. And we're waiting, and we're like, and she approaches the check-in desk at the labor and delivery. And it was just a side note, like, it was just so cool to see Kelsey because I had spent like all day with her, and like, Kelsey's amazing. She's just so loving, and like she's an incredible doula. Wild Moon. Is that her? We interviewed her a few back. Like, if you're looking for a doula in Southern Oregon, like, even not using her as my own doula, just being in the experience and in a labor situation with her, it was so beautiful. And we get there and she's like, I'm here for Taylor Pickett, like, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you're going to have to wait. And she's like, I'm her doula. And they're like, you're going to have to wait. And she immediately went to mama bear mode, and like her energy completely changed. Like, really, we tried to make sure that you guys had all that you needed to get in there, but it was, I think we waited at least 20-25 minutes before they let us go back to you. And they didn't even let us, like, Kurt came out and got us, and that's how we got pulled back there. And then Misha showed up like pretty much the same time because she was finishing the paperwork for the hospital. So it's just so insane and maddening that like they're just immediately like, we're taking over and fuck everything else that you had in place. And like, you're in this pain, you're already in this place of like, I need to have this type of support now. And they're just so not.
Your doula can be like your mouth.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really
your brain's not even there. You've been doing this for over 24 hours at home, like hard, like laboring consistently, heavily. So you're like, you haven't slept. It's just like, they weren't allowing her to go back there to be that advocate for you, which is what she's there to do. And yeah, it was just really cool to see her like, okay, we're at the hospital now, and now I'm here to fucking say what needs to be said and help my client.
Everyone's demeanor changed.
Totally.
I mean, Kurt completely shut down. Like, he turned gray. He didn't speak.
No.
the entire time. Like,
it was hard. Everyone was like trying to be like checking in with him, and he just
shut off.
Yeah, and I get that.
Which sucks because it was so different at home.
Yep. He was just scared. Just so scared. Like, scared to be in the hospital, but scared because he loved you so much. And like,
and
he couldn't do anything. And you're here now. And like, you know, just afraid. And he's exhausted. He hasn't slept at all.
Yeah. So I look at the nurses when Dr. Joy Anderson walked out, and I was like, she's a bitch. And they were like, I'm really sorry. And she was like, yeah, just being so mean that I like tried to do this at home. And she was like, I don't know why people do this. Like, you're not some hero. Like, you don't need.
Did she say that?
Yeah. She was just like,
fuck?
She was just like, it's you're not basically like you're not special trying to not take medicine. I don't understand why people try to do this.
Have you complained to them?
Yeah, I wrote a letter. And that's something I forgot to put in my birth story that I wrote, was like how she said, to get to it, the misogyny of it. But so she leaves, and the nurses were lovely. One of the nurses went to doula like school with Kelsey.
That was so cool.
So
she's like, we got you.
Yeah, she was a doula before she got into labor and delivery, which is strange because I feel like it's usually the opposite.
I didn't realize she had gone into it after the fact.
I think so. And then the other woman was like, I had all 4 of my kids natural. Like, you're fine here.
Well, and they're the ones who are mostly going to be with you too, which is
the doctor barely comes in,
but it's still just like it's just such a sour taste, and it doesn't help speed up anything in your experience. Like, it immediately makes you just like, cool, we're turning this shit off because I don't feel safe here. So then I don't know which part came first, but the anesthesiologist comes in. He's very, very he explained everything like in great detail, how it was going to work, what was going to happen, how it was going to be. It was just like very calming. And he did the epidural, and it helped a little bit. It helped. I could still feel my contractions. And then the doctor comes back in, and Kelsey's like, here's her printed birth plan. This is what we want. And she goes, oh, I don't read those. The doctor?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
She's like, I don't read that. And then
that's saying, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
How are you even doing the job that you do?
Yeah. So then I'm just like, okay, whatever. And she's just like being a bitch. And the nurses are doing so much. I don't even know. There's just a lot going on around me. Things, I'm hooked up to all these things. And then I'm like, the nurses are doing something. And I'm like, there's something in my coochie. Like, can you check my coochie? And before they got done doing whatever they were doing, it was like, boom, snap, gush. And I was like, oh my God. And it was my water broke. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that like you hadn't had the water break yet, but you'd been through this entire laboring experience.
I mean,
already.
A lot of people's water never breaks.
Yeah.
So
we just don't know that. Like what we're taught, and like honestly, women learn a lot about themselves through movies, which is kind of fucked up.
I mean, yeah, but all the movies show the big gush water
and that
break,
starts
and that's
the labor,
not really a thing. So that was kind of cool. And then they're like, oh, there's some meconium in the water, which is baby's like first poop. And a lot of times that can be really dangerous and like an indicator that like you got to get this baby out now. They're going to, like, if they swallow it, it's really bad.
Yeah.
And then they can get in their lungs and stuff. But nobody really seemed worried. So I don't think it was like much.
Yeah.
And so where am I at?
Epidural.
Yeah, so the water breaks, and then I'm like 7 centimeters dilated at that point. So I think when I got admitted, I was 5.
Yeah.
So I got to 5 at home from like 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., I guess.
Yeah, because it would be like you probably got the epidural within the hour of being at the hospital because we were there for a little bit. We transferred with you. We're in the room, and then like everyone who didn't need to be there left right before, like when they're like, be 20 minutes before
like
you get the epidural.
So then I was like, okay, I can sleep. So then I fall asleep, but I'm still having contractions, and I'm like half asleep, and I'm just like screaming and groaning. And the doctor comes in, and she's like, you should not be feeling any of this. She's like, if you can feel it, you need more epidural. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then so the anesthesiologist comes in, gives me another one, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Like, that's when I was just like, and then I'm texting Kate, like, did you feel it when you pushed your baby out? And she's like, not really. And I didn't know when you got the epidural, you can't eat food. So I would have eaten something.
You were hungry before.
Yeah.
And someone got you a sandwich, and you're
I
like,
couldn't. It was disgusting.
No, that's gross.
So I didn't know you couldn't eat. So I definitely would have like eaten something at home. So yeah, they're moving me around because then the heart rate's decelerating, and that's scary. So then we do this again, like from 8 p.m. and it becomes 9 a.m. To me, then I'm like, this is validating that I couldn't have just stayed at home anymore.
Yeah, no.
Because like, I was questioning myself for sure. Like, am I just being a pussy? Is this like, I just can't handle it? I don't know. But the fact that it goes on for another like day and a half almost was like, okay, like I don't think I would have been able to keep going at home.
Totally.
But who's to say the epidural didn't slow it down?
Totally.
In my mind, it sped it up a little because like I was able to relax
rest
a little bit, and then my water broke and all that stuff.
Well, with all the back labor too, like that probably prevented you from having the water break too, and like that kind of helps speed things up a little bit more.
The back labor is intense.
Yeah, you were having lots of troubles there.
So they're checking me at like 6 a.m. They're like, you're 10 centimeters. Okay. The nurse is like, you're 10 centimeters dilated, but there's like a lip on your cervix. And at 7 a.m., the doctor switched. They're on like a 24-hour rotation. And they're telling me, I can't remember the doctor that delivered my baby's name. And he was so lovely, and I feel bad.
So at this point, the bitch is gone.
At this point, they're about to switch.
Okay. And she
comes in to check on me. The nurse said I'm 10 centimeters dilated, but there's a lip on my cervix, and we're just like, need that to kind of get out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So then the doctor that I don't like comes in, and she checks me, and she's like, basically tells the nurse in front of me, you're fucking stupid. You are
stupid, or the nurse?
The nurse is stupid. I'm only 8 centimeters dilated, and they should just give me a C-section anyways. And I was like, no thanks. Like, I'm good. And I heard the other doctor was a male, and I was like, I don't want a male doctor. Yeah. Like, I'm already doing all this stuff. And they were like, he's really great. Just like meet him and see what you think. And I mean, I didn't really have another option at that point. So he comes in and sits down face to face with me. And he's so kind, so nice, explains everything. He checks my cervix, 10 centimeters dilated with a little bit of a lip. Which
like
I'm
the
like,
nurse said.
Yeah, what a fucking condescending bitch. Like, first of all, don't talk to the nurse like that in front of the people. Patient. That is crazy. And also, like, you were wrong.
Yeah. You were the stupid one.
Yeah.
Actually.
So he's like, we have these options. He was like, I don't remember all of the options, but they can put fluid back into your uterus since my water had broke so long ago. And sometimes that helps to like push the baby out. I could do Pitocin, or I could just like wait and try to push. So I'm like, I'm just going to wait and try to push. So I will like, he got there at 7, started pushing at like 9. And my epidural wasn't like so you have a button you push to give yourself more. And so like I didn't really push the button because I wanted to be able to move around and like I wanted to feel the baby come out.
Yeah.
And so I start pushing. I get on my hands and knees on the back of the bed. I have my arms on the back of the bed. I'm bent over and I'm like pushing that way, which I can't really feel my legs that much, but enough to like
support you,
get myself up there, which was a really weird feeling. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm pooping, which is fine. But in this position, I feel like a horse where turds just drop from high up. And I just don't like that. Like, if I want to poop, I want to be in like a squatted position or something. Totally. So I try that. Doesn't work. They get out a squat bar and they like pull the bed to where it has like a step. And I grab the squat bar and I'm squatting, holding onto this bar. And I rest between contractions, and then the next one I'm like, okay, it's coming. And then I'd get down, and you can see the contractions on the monitor too. Mm-hmm. So I get back in the squatted position and I just push.
I love like that there's pooping. These options for you, like, because babies, like in the research that we've done, like babies aren't naturally coming out while you're on your back. Like that's not the best position. Yeah, which is how we see it most. So it's so great to know that this hospital did have the options and coached you into those positions.
And I talked to a girl yesterday who birthed in Grants Pass, and they forced her to labor on her back with her feet up in the air. And it's just like, at that point, it's like, just let me lay here, put my feet up. And they're like, no, you got to lay. Like they were making me get in the positions. And it was great. And so I also got on each side. Kurt would hold my legs up, and then I would like push my leg on the squat bar and like push in that way. I really liked the squatted position most, but she's like, you can't do that for 5 hours. Your legs are gonna hurt so bad. But I was like, I don't care. And so I like rested a little bit in between, and her heart rate was going down, so I couldn't do it anymore. And then I get back to it. So 5 hours in, I start getting a fever. And then shit's just going downhill at this point. And since my water had broke so long ago, like I was getting an infection from the meconium, basically. And then her heart rate kept dropping, and the doctor came in. It was like 3:30 maybe, and he was just like, we got to get this baby out of you. And I'm like bawling my eyes out, just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Please just like give me my baby. Yeah. I just want my baby. Kurt's like really scared, still not talking. And then so I asked my midwife to go in with me, and we get prepped, we go in. I'm like, how long does this take? They say 45 minutes. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ.
God, yeah, I've already been at this for 3 days.
Well, and like I felt like when my sister had hers it was faster, but probably wasn't. And so we go back in there. They give you like a stronger epidural, and then you're just like numb all the way down. They put the sheet up. I'm laying there and I'm like, this is my fault. I watch too much Grey's Anatomy. No, it's like I manifested this. And all of the doctors and everybody's laughing, and I'm just like, because all I did the last like few weeks was watch all the Grey's Anatomy. So then they numb me up. I'm laying there. They strap your arms down to the table too. So you're like strapped there. Misha's holding my hand on one side. The anesthesiologist is on the other side. And they're like, do you feel this? Do you feel this? I'm like, no. And it was the weirdest sensation because like I had been swaying my hips the whole time to like release pressure and try to get baby out. So as soon as I'm numb, I felt like I was standing, swaying my hips.
Oh, wow.
which was really weird. And I'm like, I'm obviously not. Like phantom sway. And I'm just, my eyes are just rolling in the back of my head. And I'm squeezing her arm really tight. And my whole arm was going numb too. And I'm like, I can't feel my arm.
Oh my gosh.
And
you just like completely become consciousness, and that's it.
It just was so weird. And they're like, you're going to feel some pressure. And that was so weird. It's so weird. You like feel pressure and you feel hands inside of you, but you don't feel the pain. And I felt like they were in there for a while. And I'm like, oh, that's what the problem. And she was like, they're like, that's a big baby. And then they're like, and she's face up, and they pull her out, and they're like, oh, everybody's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? And she didn't start crying yet, but then she started crying. But it's still just like, I'm not this moment of like, oh my God, my baby's here. No. Like, it wasn't like that for me because I was so fucked up and tired.
Yeah.
And they're like, she's 10 pounds, 2 ounces. And I'm like, oh my God.
Such a
I
big
didn't
baby.
expect that at all. And so then they like they swaddle the baby. Misha brings her over to my face and she's like, here's your baby. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. I like rest my head on her and I'm just like, I guess that she's here now. Like, I wasn't having any emotions because I'm just like, and then they're like, oh, well, we have to take the baby out and Misha so that we can close you up. Which, when my sister had her baby, they like strolled her and the baby out together. They like put the baby on her chest and they like strolled her out. And so I was like, oh, I don't get and I'm told Misha, I'm like, please take some pictures and send them to Kurt so he knows I'm not dead because he's probably freaking out.
Totally freaking out.
And so they were like, midwife and babies have to go and then we'll close you up. And I'm like, great, I don't get to see my husband meet our baby for the first time. But I was like, I didn't give a fuck because I was like, I didn't care about anything. I was just, I don't know. I looked at the anesthesiologist and I was like, am I dying? Oh. And I was just like, I should have just closed my eye. I don't know. I didn't know. No. I was just like so fucked up. And he was like, nah, you're good. You're just tired.
So tired.
He's like, everybody asks me.
Oh,
okay.
Well, you can't feel yourself, which is like a huge part of like being
so
human.
Tired, so hungry. There's fentanyl and epidurals. Like, you're just faded.
Fucked up.
So then they like take you off of it, close me up, wheel me out there, and then like everybody has to like pick me up. Like, everyone in the room picks me up and puts me on the other thing. And then I like go in there and Kurt has the baby. He's got his shirt off. They're doing skin to skin. She's like, she came out of my body rooting for a boob. She was like, ah. And I'm like,
mouth open,
girl, I am still cut open. Like, I can't help you right now. She was like, hungry. And I'm like, how are you hungry? You literally weigh 10 pounds. Yeah, she was in there for a long time. But.
Well, if you haven't eaten in so long, then she's not getting food too. So I like get in there and then I like sent people to get me food. I think my mom went and got me a Jimmy John's sandwich. And then like I finally hold my baby and then I'm like, it's all hits me. And I'm like, oh my God. We're done.
She's here. I do have feelings and emotions. Like, I love her. And then I immediately like put her up to my boob and she just latched. And I couldn't really feel my boobs at the time. So that was like,
I feel like so much of you is
a little weird. And she nursed for like an hour. And Kelsey was like feeding me this sandwich while I'm like holding my baby.
And Kelsey was with you the entire time.
She stayed with me
Thursday
till
Friday,
Saturday night. Yeah, for 3 days.
Amazing.
She's amazing. Even my midwife was like, normal doulas don't do that. And she was like, oh, I'm in it.
Yeah.
And then she stayed for like 2 hours after, and then she finally went home. And so did Misha. And then they took us into another room, and it's just us and our baby. And I don't know. I obviously couldn't sleep now. Like, I know I hadn't
No.
been to sleep, but like, I have my baby.
Now you have a baby.
I don't know what to do. I don't know. And then we all just got to know each other and bonded and hung out, and she was just so cute and perfect, and I would nurse her, and like they give you a little piece of paper, so you're supposed to track like how often they eat, poop, and pee. And so we like doing all of our little tracking on her like poops, pees, and she was eating great and everything. It was perfect.
And how long were you in the hospital?
So my mom was like, "You should stay as long as they'll let you." I'm like, "Fuck no, I want to go home."
Yeah.
Like, I don't need
You just
to be
wanted
here.
to be home the whole time.
Yeah. And because I think a lot of people don't want to go home. They want to like stay and get help.
There's people,
and they're
telling you what to do and reassuring you or helping you.
So I was there for 24 hours after
I
had the baby, I think.
I couldn't remember.
48.
I feel like 48 maybe.
Yeah, I think it was like 48 with the
you were a couple days
C-section.
there.
Yeah. So then we get home. And I'm nursing, but you just have colostrum those first few days, which is like a really nutrient dense, like different kind of liquid that's in your boobs, but it's not milk. And it gives them all the vitamins and nutrients they need, but the babies do lose weight because they're not getting milk yet. And so I'm like not wearing a shirt, like no bra, no top, we're skin to skin. I'm nursing her, whatever. Day 3 comes. My milk starts to come in. She's like getting milk boarded and she's like so uncomfortable and she's crying. Aww. And like I'm just milk is everywhere and I don't know what to do. So that's when you got to put your bra on and the pads because it's like there's just milk coming out everywhere. Yeah. And she was like fussing because I could tell that she like it was like hurting her stomach, and then she's just like, so that day was really hard for us because we were like figuring out, and I didn't know like is it too much because she wanted to keep nursing, and I'm like, am I not supposed to? How often do I do this? Fast forward to now, you nurse on demand. You just nurse the baby when they're hungry. Newborn babies cannot be overfed. And so like they also don't need to be burped, which is so like crazy. They just don't. Everybody's like, you should burp your baby. You gotta burp the baby. She pukes on me when I do that. It like stirs it all up. Yeah. Probably because I milk her till it's coming out of her throat, and then she just vomits because I make so much milk and she's so big. All she does is spit up. But so then we're like getting used to being a family. So the day after, so I have surgery she comes out at 4:22. We spend the night, whatever. By noon the next day, I'm like, I want to take a shower. So I'm like able to stand up, able to shower. I'm sore, but it's just not as bad as I thought or like made it out to be in my head. Like I understand it's surgery, but I was like able to get up and down. I had like a belly band on that was like giving me good pressure to like hold my guts in. But after all of the antibiotics and the fluids and the medications, like I just felt like gross. Yeah. I was afraid to poop. Yeah. And they give you like stool softeners. That would be so hard too with the incision too. So they give you stool softeners. So it's just like liquid just coming out. Yeah. Because which I blocked a lot of this out, I think. So you're just kind of in a little bit of survival mode. I couldn't sleep those first couple days. I slept for like 40-minute stretches. And then I had like anxiety when I wasn't awake or around her, and I was afraid to sleep. And like everybody tells you not to co-sleep, and you don't know if you're allowed to like fall asleep with the baby on your chest. So then you're not sleeping because I can't put her in the bassinet because the first time we tried to put her in, she spit up amniotic fluid and started puking, and I thought she was going to fucking choke and die. And so I'm like kind of sleeping with her on my chest sometimes, but then like making sure Kurt was awake, and then like he would sleep with her and I would be awake. And so after like a few days, I guess, I finally got a stretch of sleep, and I found an Instagram page. I found it before, but I didn't really look at it, but it's called Co-Sleepy, and it's all evidence-based, and it tells you how to safely co-sleep with your baby.
Amazing.
And you can chest sleep. You just have to be inclined with like loose clothing, or I always for the first couple months was in just a button-up shirt, and then she would just sleep on me.
Perfect.
And yeah, you're just gonna be inclined. She's on your chest, and then make sure there's not like a bunch of pillows around you in case she falls off and suffocates. And then you just don't want a bunch of blankets and stuff. And make sure you're in the middle of the bed. But I didn't know that I could do that. So, because in the hospital, they tell you like your baby's gonna die if you co-sleep, and like not to do that. And if you tell them you want to co-sleep, they make you sign a piece of paper, like basically if anything happens, it's your fault.
Oh my gosh.
And so day 5, I'm like, had a really bad headache, and I'm taking these like extra strength ibuprofen for my incision already on like a 6-hour basis or something like that. And so I still had a headache, and I was like, if that's not touching it, then like that's not good. And I was like, maybe I need a nap. So Kurt watched the baby, I took a nap, and it like kind of felt a little bit better. And I had texted Misha before my nap and told her I had a headache, and she was like, that's not good. Do you have something to check your blood pressure? So my mom had like a wrist cuff, and those aren't really very accurate, but we checked it, and it was very high. It was like 168 over 101 or something like that, or 111.
Yeah, that's high.
And
sounds high. I don't know. It sounds high.
My normal is like pregnant was 140 over 70, and normally it's like 126 over 65. Like it's pretty low. And so I was like, I don't know if this is accurate. I told her, and she's like, you need to go to the emergency room. She's like, I really recommend you go to the emergency room. And I was like, I don't want to. Like, I have a 5-day-old baby. Like, I don't want to be away from my husband and my baby. Like, I don't know what to do. And luckily, I had been using the Haka on my opposite boob, so I had milk in the freezer. And was making so much milk, even on day 5, that my freezer was just like full of milk. Like, I'm probably making, at that point, like 3 or 4 ounces every couple hours.
So awesome.
And it's incredible.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Especially for a newborn. That's just getting waterboarded with milk. But so I'm like, okay, I'll go. I'll probably only be there for an hour. They'll give me some pills and I can go home. And I get to the emergency room, and they are like, treat it very emergent. They're like, this is not good, blah, blah. There's a waiting room full of people. They just take me back.
Wow.
And they like get me in the emergency room. They put me in a hall bed. So I'm just in the hallway on this bed, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're just like, told me it's a level 2, considered a level 2 emergency. Level 1 is if you come in an ambulance. Wow. And so they're like, this is very serious. How
long did you have the headache before you actually went?
Like all day.
Wow.
And they take my blood pressure, and it was that high. And then like they had my doctor that delivered my baby come down and talk to me, and they were like, so I asked to go in another room to pump, and they gave me a pump because I was just like already
not
full of milk, and I didn't think I would be there. Like I was feeding every 2 hours at least at that point. They gave me these little tiny things, and I was like, I'm gonna need like a bottle. Like I am gonna fill that in 5 seconds. So then an hour later, they're like, so we're gonna have to admit you. And I'm like, admit? Like, what the fuck do you mean you have to admit me? Like overnight? And they're like, yeah. And I'm just bawling my eyes out. Luckily my mom was there with me, and I'm like,
oh, that's good.
crying, and then I'm like, can my husband and my baby come up? Like, there's no way my baby can stay away from me at 5 days old.
No.
And so Curtis and Goldie come up, and I haven't said her name.
Time you said her name.
Oh, my baby was born. Her name's Goldie Rose Pickett Burgess.
So cute.
Shit, I should have said that during the birth story. So Goldie and Curtis come up, and they put me on a 12-hour magnesium drip. And they're checking. When you're on magnesium, they have to check you every hour. So I'm like, obviously not sleeping either. So
what are they checking you for?
See if I'm going to have a seizure or a stroke.
Gosh.
So they put you in this bed with padded rails in case you fucking seize out. And then they check your reflexes on your feet and your knees, and then your blood pressure and your temperature.
Wow.
Every single hour on the hour, checking. She's writing down how much fluid I was drinking in between, because she wanted me to drink a lot to like flush stuff out. Comes 12 hours. Nothing's better. And so they're like, all right, we're going to have to do this for another 24 hours. And I think, no, I didn't have a catheter. So then I have all these things attached to me. And every time I'm drinking all these fluids, every time I have to go to the bathroom, they also have like, it's called a hat in the toilet. And it says how much I peed every time. Wow. So then like, anytime I have to pee, I have to tell the nurse, like, come check my pee so that I can pee again. I'm still bleeding out of my vagina because I just had a baby. And so come the 24 hours, it's really not going down at this point. They gave me pills, and then it like kind of starts to go down. So they're like, we need to observe you for 12 more hours. And I'm like, I just want to go home.
I've been in the hospital pretty much the last week.
Yeah. So I'm there for 3 more days. They're like, not 3 more days, but 3 days this stay. And they're treating me as I have postpartum preeclampsia, which is very rare. Preeclampsia happens when you're pregnant, and it's like a hormone that your shit, my parking is gonna go off. Extend. Okay. So preeclampsia is like caused by a hormone, from my understanding, caused by a hormone in your placenta during your pregnancy. Elevated protein in your urine, liver enzymes, stuff like that. I didn't have those 2 things or any of the other signs. It was just hypertension, but they were treating it as that because they said an incident happened at the hospital. They sent a lady home. She fucking died.
Oh my God.
And so it was really bad. So they're like, so we're just being extra cautious with you.
That's so
We've seen this happen before, and we don't want it to happen. I don't want you to go home until your blood pressure is under this, whatever.
Yeah. I'm so glad they took it so seriously.
Yeah.
Sucks that they had to go through that much of a issue, like such a big loss to really realize that. But
yeah, they're like, this is actually very serious. And I'm like, I'm fine. Just let me go home. So they put me on medication for high blood pressure. I took it twice a day for like 2 or 3 weeks, saw a doctor, and then I started weaning off of it. I'm not on it anymore. My blood pressure is totally normal. Everything's fine. And Goldie is great. She is now 10 weeks old. Everything's been really amazing. She's really chill baby. She doesn't really wig out. She is very easy to figure out what her needs are. She loves milk, and she weighs 16 pounds, which is like almost as much as my friend's 9-month-old baby. Yeah, she can't keep growing at this rate. Like if she gains that many pounds consistently, she's gonna be like a 60-pound 1-year-old, and that's not a thing. So
I'm sure it'll even out.
She'll have to even out at some point. But she is big.
Well, yeah,
and
you
happy.
sent me the picture, what was it, last weekend, of her wearing one of the onesies I got. And I remember specifically making sure to get ones that would be like 6 months at earliest to like a year. And I was like, how is she even wearing that? And it fits like perfectly.
She wears 6-month-old clothes.
That's so
She's
wild.
10 weeks old.
That she's like barely 2 months.
Yeah. So we took her over to a friend's house yesterday. They're 5 weeks apart. Her baby is 5 weeks old
So
and
tiny.
is 8 pounds, which is smaller than my child has ever been.
Yeah.
My baby was never that size, except for when she was inside of me.
So tiny.
It was like holding air. It was just so
Like, I've
weird.
never known
Yeah,
this.
I was just like, oh my God, he's fragile. I don't know. And then you put them next to each other, and I'm like, don't roll over. You'll squish them.
Yeah, that, like, she's double,
Yes.
literally, right now.
Yeah, she's big. And then I'm nursing her, and I'm like, how am I going to do this in like 6 months? If you're like, because my friend just came, and her baby is 6 months old, and she said he's 20 pounds. There's no way they're 4 pound
Oh my
difference
goodness.
because he is big. And Goldie's not even near as big as, and his head is huge. He can't sit up because his head's so big.
Aww.
She was like, watch this, and she sat him up, and it just went head first. Like, don't go toy. He's so cute, but definitely not 20 pounds. I don't know, all these big babies around. So part of the thing that I forgot to mention, so the day after I have the baby, the shitty doctor's on call again.
Yeah.
And she comes into my room, and I had complained about her a lot to like the nurses, and so had my midwife. And so I kind of figured that she was coming to apologize because like there's a fucking something on here. Because her demeanor was like cheery.
It's the start of her shift, and you got her like, I mean, not even at the end, but
yeah, but I thought she was like gonna apologize.
Yeah.
And she sits down and she's like, well, I just want to say, and she's like, you know, you did the right thing. It's really steep. Having a natural birth is like steeped in misogyny and men just thinking that women need to feel pain, and they get their vasectomies and they just drink beer and watch football. And I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about?
How is any of that even close to true?
First of all, it's like completely the opposite of why I'm trying to do this. Like in my mind, like this is natural. This is what we're supposed to do. Like
you were built for it. Yeah. You were a woman. You were strong.
Yeah. And she's like, so I'm just looking at her like, well, you know, I don't even know what I said, because I'm like, literally just had a baby less than 12 hours ago, and you're
Still
saying
exhausted.
all this crazy shit to me, and I'm just shocked that you're speaking.
Yeah.
And then she's like, well, you know, if you want to have another baby, you're going to have to get in shape. And she was just like, this is why you had to have your C-section. And, you know, women that run 5 miles a day don't have 10-pound babies. And I'm just like, I've never met a pregnant woman that runs 5 miles a day, but okay. And I'm still not saying anything. She's like, well, you know, and then I had all my C-sections, no need to be a hero. You know, and everybody hates newborns, and I'm just holding my precious baby that literally was born less than 12 hours ago that I love, and she's just telling me everyone hates newborns, and I'm like, I don't hate my newborn.
What the fuck is wrong with this person?
Yeah, and then like saying, you know, you're not going to be able to you just schedule your C-section, you're not going to be able to have a vaginal birth after this. That's not going to happen. And I'm just like believing her, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. And then she just like leaves, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I looked at Kurt, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with her? And he's like, she got bullied in high school. For sure. And so then the nurse comes in, and I'm like, don't let her back in my room.
No.
Like, I don't want to see her. I don't want to talk to her. I don't need anything from her. Do not let her back in my room. If I need something, I will let you know.
Yeah, no, she's just bringing in toxicity.
It was
How, like,
insane.
again, how is she doing the job that she does?
Why are you
doing the job that you do?
Why are you delivering babies if you hate newborns?
Yeah.
I am shocked by that. And I can tell you, having a newborn for 10 weeks, I don't hate her. I actually really like this phase. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I love everything about it. I love every moment. Literally sitting here talking to you, I miss her snuggles, and I just want to go home and snuggle my baby.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just completely mind blown by her. So somebody sent me a screenshot of like a local woman's page, and there's like over 30 women complaining about all of their experiences with this doctor.
There's like a Facebook page around
There's
this?
a mother's like page, but then somebody made a post like, I just wanted to vent about my terrible experience with Dr. Joy Anderson, and then all these women are like, me too, this, and I keep trying to join the group, but they won't let me in. So I think it's like a conservative group. Maybe I give off bad vibes. But
side note, that reminds me, I was at Over Easy yesterday, and there's this table of dudes, and this guy, he's wearing this black sweatshirt that has like gray American flag over the black, and it says, "I wish that I lived in a red state because I'm surrounded by idiots." And I'm just like, then move to a fucking red state. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
but
go. You can go right over the border.
He also is wearing a black hat and like kind of looked like you've seen Edward Scissorhands, right? When they go to like rob the boyfriend's house and they all get in like the black jacket. Like he looked like that, like kind of vibe, wearing the sweatshirt. And I was like, how are you Over Easy right now? I don't get it. But also, yeah, like fucking move to Idaho. They would love you there.
Just go.
What are you doing all the way over here on the west side?
So
anyways,
weird.
But speaking of conservatives,
yeah,
that's crazy that there's so many other people with this experience. I really hope that everyone is like,
I sent in an email. I hope everybody else did. Maybe I'll make a different post on a mom group I am in Southern Oregon and see what everybody has to say.
Because I feel like if there's enough people complaining, like there has to be something that can be done, right? Like that just is so insane that this person is doing the job that they're doing, and like by choice, and speaking to people like this way.
The doctor's on call, so I don't think anybody sees them for care.
Yeah, and it's just
they're
the
called
emergency
hospitalists or something. So they just work there, like if you go into labor and you don't have your OB or something.
So crazy.
I believe. So it's like people only deal with her when they're in a traumatic state.
So if someone's seeing a specific OB and then they go to the emergency room for their baby, then that OB comes into that hospital. They're usually on call,
and then they come in there.
Deliver your baby.
Mm-hmm. Like, so the
because you had a midwife, she was there to support. Would she still be able to like deliver your baby in the hospital? No,
but there's some like La Clinica midwives that can deliver babies there, which is good to know. And I think they can do C-sections and stuff too.
Wow. Okay. At least you still had her there with you like the whole time. But
yeah,
crazy. Good to know.
Yeah, so I would share some pictures for you guys, but I'm not putting her photo on the internet right now. I don't think I will until she's old enough to say if she wants that or not.
Yeah.
But I'm just watching my husband parent has been the most wonderful thing I've ever experienced. He's such a good dad. He's such a good partner. He took care of me my entire pregnancy. He's still taking care of me now. So good. He takes care of the baby. We're going to split childcare. Like, he amazes me.
The first time I ever came over to meet Goldie, I was like, Kurt, how do you like being a dad? And he just like instantly starts tearing up. He's like, I love it. It's the best thing. I was like, what's your favorite thing? He's like, everything. Everything's so perfect. I just love it. And you're like, are you crying? And he's like, yeah, I just like being a dad. He's just so happy.
He's
and
so good.
So sweet.
And he loves her and he doesn't want another one. He just loves.
Oh.
We set up his vasectomy consultation, and
that'll be perfect.
We're just gonna be 3 best friends.
I love that.
Yeah, she's so cool.
Yeah, she's amazing. Like, Even her
We're really
crying
lucky.
is so gentle. You're like, I can take her back. I'm like, she's not bothering me. Like, I don't feel like I can't. I mean, I can't give her my boob, but she's looking at them. Like, I know what those do.
Mhm.
Like, they're going to give her what she wants. But I mean, unless she needs the boob and she's crying in my hands, like, I'd figure it out. Like, she's totally not bothering me. She's so sweet. And she's like starting to smile a lot more
Yep.
now too, and it's just like big and happy. And
I
it was
can't
like
wait.
she smiled so big at me the other night when I was there. I was like, oh my god, give me more of those. They're
It's so weird
cute.
when she tries to smile with a nipple in her mouth.
Oh,
But she just stares at me now. Well, because at first I can't see anything.
Yeah.
So then you're like, what's going on? And then they just become like more awake and aware. And
Yeah.
it's so weird.
She's looking around.
That baby
now.
yesterday was definitely like by my boobs and was like, and I'm like, I would drown.
You're just like
ass.
giving off of the
like,
hormone.
You would drown. You are too small. Your mom does not make milk
so
like this.
tiny. That picture is wild.
Well, and it sucks. Like for her, you know, she nurses for sometimes 40 minutes at a time every 2 hours. Like,
wow.
I'd be having like a 3-ounce letdown in 3 minutes. Like I put the pump on and it's like, it goes, it's just pouring out of me. And so I just feel really lucky that that's my situation. I mean, I will take over production any day under.
Totally.
And I donated some milk to a mom with twins. And right now, I don't know if I should be donating more or if I should just hold on to what I have. And I don't want to hoard it, but I also don't know what the future holds. And
yeah.
I mean, I know
you're going to go back to work too. I'm sure that'll change your production a bit too.
Yeah. My best friend's sister was making a ton of milk and had a 10-pound baby. And now her supply is down and she had to buy milk from somebody else. And he's allergic to like formula. And I just want to keep some of the milk I have.
Totally. Well, if you have a little to give, like you're not on like constant donation cycle with her. Right. You just are like, here's a little extra that I have. So, you know, you can kind of choose when you need to or can and available to, and see how things change for you as you know, go back to work and your routines change. But it's nice to be able to do that in this moment for people who do need it too.
Yep. I feel very, very, very lucky all the way around. Everything. She's so good. I'm feeding her good. My body feels fine. Like,
yeah, so
I mean, my body is sore, but it's nothing like being pregnant.
No,
that sucked.
You just feel so much different.
Sucked.
Everyone could feel that.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
I could probably be convinced to do it again, honestly, but luckily Kurt doesn't want to. But it was not fun.
Yeah, you were miserable from like within the week of finding out you were pregnant. I just like, I keep thinking like I went with you to that appointment to like get the definitive yes you are pregnant test, and you were just a couple days like after, you know, finding out doing the home test.
I was already nauseous.
And no, you weren't yet. We were going to pick up the prenatal for you, and you're like, you know what, I'm healthy, I'm fine, I won't feel shitty. And it was almost the next day or day after that where you were like, I feel like shit, and you were just feeling like shit.
I thought I was a little nauseous. I was like, do you have any mints?
Maybe you were a little bit, but you were like, you're like, I'm going to be fine. I'm a healthy person. You were like, this is going to be fine. Like almost like bragging. Like, this will be great. I'm healthy.
I will tell
this won't
you,
affect me.
Like, motherhood and pregnancy has humbled the shit out of me. I'm like, oh, I'm healthy. I'm going to have a easy pregnancy. No. Oh, women are made for this. You just push your baby out. No, honestly, get the fucking epidural. I don't know if it's like on day 2 and because the worst thing is to be recovering from a vaginal and a C-section.
Yeah.
Like my pelvic floor, I still pushed for fucking 5 hours
long.
and was in labor forever. So I'm recovering from both, basically. The only thing they didn't, like, she was in my vaginal canal. The only thing that didn't happen is she come out the coochie. Like, so, I mean, yes, you can do it. Just listen to your body. The whole thing was like, I'm at every turn needed to listen to my body. Kurt didn't think I needed to go to the hospital when I had a headache, and I was like, I think I need to. And then it was really
so
scary.
Good that you did.
And I don't know if I could have got that baby out on my own. I don't know if she would be here or I would be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm very humbled throughout the entire experience. I think that I kind of maybe judged people thinking they took the easy way out, and maybe sometimes I still feel like I could have done it, but it doesn't matter.
It's not your story.
Yeah.
But your story is just as important as all of those other stories, and the way that
none of it's easy. There's not an easy way out. None of it's easy.
No.
Getting an epidural, pushing a baby out of coochie, not easy.
No.
Having a C-section, not easy. None of it is the easy way out.
And if you reflect back on just like the entire pregnancy, the whole experience for you, like you were put in so many positions to have to like make change fast and say like, this isn't working the way that I thought it would. Like every step of your pregnancy was that where you had to pivot and make a different choice.
Yeah, like different house, different salon, different
everything changed.
Different midwifery care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, I mean, I think like the biggest thing is too, like, yes, trust your body and do what feels good for you, but like listen to your intuition because it's going to tell you exactly how it's what you need to do.
Just have grace with yourself. Like
you're not failing anyway.
That baby has to come out some way.
It will come out some way.
None of it's easy. And to me, so like that, all of that has like given me the nuance to like in my mind, I want to be like, oh, I'm just like so good at this with the baby. But then I have to check myself and be like, no, other people aren't just like not doing the right thing. I probably just have a good baby. And it's because it's easy to be like, oh, well, you know, I do this and that's why this happens. Or, you know, I eat this thing and that's why I make all this milk. But it's like, no, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And I'm just lucky I have a good baby. And I just need to count my fucking blessings and not judge my like other people for how their babies are, you know.
Well, and even just the support that you do have like in home but also like around you too, which is like another privileged thing that I know that you have already been like, I'm lucky for that too. And that was
both of us being home, like exactly. I don't know, throughout my whole pregnancy I was just like, oh, my friends just were like able to stay at home and this, that, and that, but like yeah, they were. And then when they had their baby, their husbands kept working and they were by themselves with that baby. And so, like, I'm so privileged to have a patient, supportive husband that's been able to be home for 12 weeks with me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how people do it.
Yeah.
It's a 2-person job. My mom was here. That did not work out. She was supposed to live with us for a year and we just didn't need it. It was I mean, I was scared. I thought everything would be a lot harder, and it's just been really easy for us, and we've been able to take care of the baby and be a family, and we just didn't need the extra hands.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So
well, I'm just happy that you guys are healthy. I'm happy that like overall you're feeling good. Like literally every time I see you, it's not like at all what I expected this part of your life to be either, you know. Not that like I felt like you would necessarily need a lot of help, but I was like
I
really
struggle
worried.
with depression and anxiety.
I was really worried about your mental health and like how postpartum would be for you in that way, and just like wanting to make sure that like I could be a supportive friend for you in that way. And like I was really happy that your mom would be there too to support you in that way.
My
And
mental health has never been better.
It's just so incredible to see like how well you are doing. Like the first time, it was almost like I
think
forgot
everyone's shocked
how like pre-pregnancy Taylar was too. You're like, hey, and I was like, what?
The thing.
Hi.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Everybody's like, you know, you have a baby and you're never going to be yourself again. And I'm like, I feel like myself again. I just have a baby.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my body's different and yeah, my priorities are different, but I feel like myself again.
Totally.
I feel privileged because I don't align with any of the postpartum stuff I've seen on like how like Instagram. Everybody's, you know, you get the postpartum depression, you're struggling, your partner doesn't help, you hate your body, like all these things like that I prepared myself for. Totally. I really did. I thought like, okay, you know, I might have the big sads, I gotta depend on my partner, like all these things could happen. I might not be able to feed my baby, and I just feel like myself, but better.
Totally. Yeah. Well, and I think like that's to the value of sharing your story. And like, I just want to thank you for being vulnerable, and like vulnerable for whoever does listen to us to share your story in that way, because I think there's so many things that we're taught about our hormones, what pregnancy is like, what birth is like, what postpartum's like women just are so taught like nothing, and there's just a certain norm, and we think that's how it's going to be for us, and it's not on either extreme. And every body is different and has a different experience entirely. And not enough people, like then people feel like something's wrong, or you know, and then we're afraid to share our stories because we haven't heard a story like ours, and that's scary and vulnerable, and then people are going to maybe ask you more or whatever. But I think it's so important for us to share our stories so that people don't feel so alone in their experiences too, for the good or the bad, because we're just not taught. Like there's just not enough information out there. There's just this is how it is, and so we try to expect and experience what we think it's going to be like, and it's just not true for most people.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate and like I praise every single person who shares their truth and their experience in pregnancy and birth and postpartum, especially because I
don't think that I'm the norm.
No.
But I think it stems from a lack of support.
Totally.
Because going over to my friend's yesterday with her 5-week-old, like she's had meals dropped off for her every couple days for the last 5 weeks, and she's had help, and her husband's home too, and they're living in their little baby bubble bliss.
Yeah.
And so I think that it's really important. I want to say, if you live in Oregon and you are self-employed, it's important to sign up for the Oregon paid leave now if you plan on, even if you don't plan on having a baby, but just pay into it in case you need it. A family member gets sick, you get sick, you have a baby, you're able to take time off and still be paid.
And that just went into effect like September, right?
Yeah. So it takes a long time to get your money. We are 12 weeks in. Kurt has not been paid.
Okay.
Which is really hard.
Yeah.
But it has given us this time. So keep that in mind too, you know, keep your savings, but know that like you can be reimbursed basically, and you can stay home with your partner without losing your job.
That's awesome.
It's so incredible. Go Oregon.
You
sign up for yours?
No, you need to send me the link. That's what I was going to say. Do you have available right now, like the resource to look that up?
You just type in Oregon paid leave, and then
just Google it, and then it'll pop up.
Yeah, and it'll take you to francesonline.com, I think. and you can fill out your information. If you are employed by an employer and you make a W-2, you're already paying into it, and you will automatically get that, and they can't fire you.
Okay. And would they have to do anything else to get that pay?
Once the baby's born, you like send in proof of birth, and then they'll start to pay you out. But it might take a long time.
Yeah.
So,
but then eventually you'll get that extra money, which will, I mean, if you're like me and you believe in the universe, you get it when you need it.
Yeah. Hopefully we get it before they shut our power bill off.
Oh my gosh.
In 2 days.
Call me first.
It's $750.
Your power bill at home? Why is electricity so expensive?
It's 3 months worth, but still.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, oh my God, I would die if it was that much every month.
Yeah. I mean, ours this time of year is like, can almost be $400 sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, ours is 3 something.
Hooey.
Well,
thanks for sharing your story.
Are back, and we have no plan right now.
We have some prospective guests already. We will be scheduling with them soon.
Any more spritz?
Yes, yummy. Okay. We're drinking an Aperol spritz, which we just had for the first time the other day.
I've wanted to try one my whole pregnancy, but
it's probably more than enough.
Oh, that's the problem.
That's why it was so strong at first.
I put a lot more than that the first time.
I was like, oh, that's strong. Well, I think the Aperol itself is at least 11%. It's definitely bitter because it's a digestive. But they're really yummy. It's like, I feel like it's kind of the adult version of a mimosa to me.
Well, I was watching you want to know what I did?
Oh yeah,
I was watching Vanderpump Rules, and they were drinking them, and that made me want them. But now I'm watching Summer House, and so I drink a lot of rosé. We also should just do our Patreon doing Bravo show recaps.
I think there should be a portion of the Patreon that is Bravo show convo, because
put them on YouTube.
Bravo show convo, I like how that rings. Taylor obviously spent a lot of time watching Real
thought we could play off
pregnant.
a rosé something. Bravo and rosé.
Now I'm hooked. Also,
my favorite thing that you said was great, I don't know how I'm gonna ever watch normal television again. I'm like, well, welcome to my life. My attention span literally is TikToks and reality TV, and I am the person I never thought I would be.
I guess it's kind of a blessing that like my husband almost despises this type of TV. Like he'll tolerate a little bit sometimes. He wants to know, like last night, he was gonna go shower, and I was like, cool, while you're showering, I'm just gonna watch a little bit of Beverly Hills. And I put it on before he left, and he was like, whoa, did someone die? And I was like, well, that's not what they're talking about, but yes, someone did die. And he's like, well, tell me everything. So he has a certain curiosity, but he also thinks it's complete garbage and cannot tolerate it. So because of him, I do actually watch things that aren't Bravo television, but if I'm by myself, that's what I'm putting on now. I have so much to catch up on.
Yeah. Curtis was like, since the baby's been born, and I come out to the living room now, he's like, well, you could just put your show on. And then he's like, sits there
he does
too.
Sit there.
And then the last night, he was like, he's been saying the one I'm watching now is the worst of all the ones that I watch. It's just like the trashiest.
The Summer House.
Yeah. And then I'm like cooking dinner, and I just hear, ha, and he's like laughing out loud to it. And I'm like, yeah.
So he's watching it while you're in the kitchen?
Yeah, he's in there with the baby, and he's just it's still on.
Change it.
And he didn't change it, and he's like laughing, and then he comes into the kitchen to tell me what Craig said. And he's like, yeah, he just said this.
He's into it.
You like it. You like it.
So funny.
And I think it's because the episode was like a crossover. Like they started introducing characters from Southern Charm into Summer House, and Winter House.
Look, we're witches and we love Bravo TV. Don't judge us.
I mean, I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's like National Geographic, but for humans.
100% agree. Totally.
And yeah, how are we supposed to figure out like human?
I love
I
trash
don't know.
TV. I love it.
Me too. And
No shame.
Now I'm invested in all these people's lives. But okay, here's the point: is like you watch normal shows and you get invested in those people's lives, but they're fake characters. So who's the idiot now? These are real people. You're dumb, not me.
Cheers.
Cheers. At least
well,
mine's not a made-up character.
How long have we been recording? Can you see the number?
Almost 2 hours.
Okay.
It's time.
Yeah, we're going to save a card pull for next time because this is definitely a longer episode of just sharing and catching up. So if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. We've missed you so much. We're so excited to
feel free to write in your birth stories too.
Yeah.
We could read those on the air if anybody wants to share their experience.
That just gave me like chills through my ears, down my back. I think it is really important for us, like, we get to have this community, and if we can help empower other people in any way, but especially with their health and wellness and their experiences, I just don't want people to feel alone anymore. And we get to have a platform where we can share shit. So yeah, anything you want to send in that's like, I didn't realize this when I went through this and I want other people to know, we're here for it.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
We love you.
Love you. Go drink some water.
Go drink an Aperol Spritz and watch Bravo. Specifically, start maybe with Vanderpump Rules, then Beverly Hills Housewives.
Yeah, it's great.
And then I'll tell you.
I'm watching both back and forth right now.
I honestly really liked Southern Charm. They're all fine. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, bye.